A judge says Denver Public Schools violated the state's open meetings law.
A judge is ordering DPS to release a recording of a 5-hour closed-door meeting, the one where the school board decided to bring back armed police officers. The board met the day after 2 deans were shot at East High. At the time, the board said it was going into executive session to discuss what they called specialized security arrangements. Well, the judge ruled that the board didn't discuss those issues in executive session and that they didn't give enough public notice about the session. 9 News is part of a group of media outlets that sued after DPS refused to release the recording. The judge gave the board until noon on Monday to make it public.
Denver Public Schools says students overwhelmingly want armed Denver police officers back on their campuses. Top administrators told the school board as many as 4 out of every 5 students surveyed say they want SROs back.
As 9 News reporter Cole Sullivan explains, those numbers don't tell the whole story.
The school board made their choice to bring back SROs, but not before students had a say. Survey results obtained by 9 News show a majority of the kids who responded want armed Denver officers on campus. Their comments show why. One North High School student wrote, quote, "I want to be able to go to school and be safe and ain't got to worry about getting shot." Another, who voted against bringing officers back, said, "We should push for long-term solutions that don't involve getting more guns involved." At MLK Early College, one student said bringing back SROs will make things feel more like a jail. At JFK, a child said the campus needs armed officers because, quote, "To be completely honest, I don't feel safe at school."
This is a huge issue.
Elizabeth Borsiaga is an organizer at Movimiento Poder, an advocacy group opposed to SROs. She argues the survey results in favor of SROs are flawed.
A lot of our data, a lot of experiences are being ignored.
Only about 20% of students actually voted. Previous surveys underrepresented students of color.
Some maybe didn't care, to be honest. And some maybe were afraid to speak their truth or the fear of retaliation.
With the board's decision already made, the 1 in 5 students who voted against armed officers in school will still see them this fall. And she says that may mean they don't feel as safe on campus.
Here, we're trying to strive for safety as well. But ultimately, we have to look into what does safety mean for a lot of folks.
Administrators told the school board earlier this month that an even higher portion of staff and parents wanted to bring back SROs. The district's latest draft of its safety plan calls for them to be in every school with grades 6 through 12. The final version of that plan is due out a week from tonight. Kyle.
All right, thank you, Cole.
The Eagle County Sheriff's Office says someone who fell from their canoe died in the Colorado River today. Deputies say 3 people were canoeing together in separate inflatable canoes when one person fell off and got swept away in a fast current. They were able to find the person, pull them to shore. They tried CPR, but it was just too late. ECSO says all 3 people were wearing life jackets.
A man died when a raft flipped on the Arkansas east of Salida. CPW says 3 people were on that raft going into the Bear Creek rapid when it flipped. All 3 went into the water. 1 person made it to shore. Another was rescued. 3rd person didn't make it. CPW says this is the 14th water-related death this year in Colorado.
Crews rescued 3 people who were swept away in their cars in rushing floodwaters near DIA. One rescue happened on East 56th Avenue. Aurora Fire Rescue says the SUV was caught in flooding from Boxler Creek. Firefighters pulled 2 people from the waters that they were stranded for nearly an hour there. Another car got trapped in water on Hudson Road, which is in that same area. CDOT says if you can't see the road, it's just not safe to drive through.
Danielle, Grant, we finally got a calmer day here in the metro area in terms of weather, but man, the far eastern plains got in it tonight.
Yeah, they can't catch a break, you guys. The tornado warning that was in place for parts of Weld and Morgan County has since expired. A bit of good news. The storm system, however, still going strong. So much lightning out there and huge hail about the size of golf balls. I want to show you the radar because literally everywhere else across the state is looking at mostly clear skies. A really tough night out there around the I-76 corridor. The storm system tracking to the east, running about 30 miles per hour. So if you have friends, family that are coming in on the interstate, this is going to be a nasty storm. That severe thunderstorm warning lasting for about another 45 minutes time. Just sliced the storm in half, looking about 30 to 40,000 feet as far as the height of this goes. Look at all the lightning, too, extending out into parts of Nebraska. 2,500 strikes just in that area alone in the past 20 minutes. It's been quiet, of course, here in Denver. Downtown looking good on a Friday night with clear skies and temperatures in the upper 60s, lower 70s. The weekend is here. The sunshine is back. The winds will be kicking up a bit for us, and I have some serious 90-degree heat coming our way. I'll show you my 7-day forecast in about 10 minutes.
Today, a tornado touched down near the small town of Holly, way out by the Kansas line. Prowers County says a number of buildings, cars, at least one home was destroyed. The people who live in that home were there. They were hunkered down in the basement, and they're okay. Crews are currently working to restore power to the Granada area.
New video shows this tree getting uprooted in Highlands Ranch last night. A tornado ripped through neighborhoods. You can find this kind of destruction pretty much all over town. Allison Stewart went to her basement as soon as she saw the wind and the rain got really intense. As her family huddled inside, this is what happened outside her home. Her basketball hoop fell down, patio furniture tossed all over the place, and a trampoline from 3 houses over flew into her yard. Today, the cleanup began. Stewart says it felt surreal when she went out to see all that damage.
Well, we came out of the basement and I turned right and I saw probably a 30-foot pine tree up against my windows in the house, and I just said, oh my God. And as I kept walking through the house, just, oh my gosh, oh my gosh.
This tree that's up against her wall was actually from her neighbor's yard.
The cleanup was just beginning when Republican leaders in Douglas County began making misleading claims, accusing Democratic Governor Jared Polis of withholding disaster aid for political reasons. DougCo Commissioner Laura Thomas, Castle Pines Councilman Roger Hudson, and former state GOP Chair Christy Burton Brown suggested that the governor did not include Douglas County on a disaster declaration with other counties because they're conservative. The fact is, that particular disaster declaration was for damage from Wednesday's storms, not Thursday, when DougCo was hit. Now, as for politics, 3 of the counties in the governor's disaster declaration have a higher percentage of Republican voters than DougCo, and the 4th, El Paso, has the largest number of Republicans in the state. The State Office of Emergency Management pointed out to DougCo's Republican leaders that disaster declarations are issued once the damage has been surveyed and totaled, and that process is underway in Douglas County.
A 3rd person is now charged in the Lodo shooting after the Nuggets won the NBA Finals. Police say 10 people were hurt, including 1 suspect. This happened near 20th and Market Streets. DPD doesn't think the shooting was related to the Nuggets celebration. They say a fight broke out during a drug deal. Police say they found 5 guns at the scene. Today, police arrested 24-year-old Kenneth Blakely for attempted first-degree murder. Police already arrested these 2 men for their roles in the shooting. So far, they're only under investigation for having illegal weapons.
The Denver Police Department has an ongoing staffing problem. Makes it harder to keep the community safe, harder to keep officers healthy enough to do their job. That's according to a new audit that looks at the department's staffing and operations. 9 News reporter Jennifer Meckel shows us the findings and what DPD is already doing about it.
There were 4 major findings in this report from the Denver Auditor's Office. The audit found DPD did not have good strategic plans for long-term goals, community policing, and recruiting new officers, didn't have effective strategies to solve the low retention problem, needed better access for officers who need physical therapy and mental health services, and was inconsistent with how it monitored the number of hours officers worked. The audit found turnover increased from 5.4% in 2019 to 8.7% last year.
Further, continuous understaffing may result in the department being unable to provide necessary services to the community, promptly respond to 911 calls and non-emergency calls, and sufficiently prioritize community policing efforts.
This process has actually been very reaffirming to me. As you know, I just took over this organization less than a year ago.
Chief Ron Thomas is still pretty new to this job and told auditors DPD is already working on a lot of these recommendations, such as.
Well, we started a class in May of '57, by far the largest class in the history of the Denver Police Department. Also, we sought and received a $200,000 state grant specifically to build up our recruitment efforts. And
DPD has agreed to all 16 of the auditor's recommendations. Many are in progress already.
Auditors also asked Chief Thomas about SROs, now that we know Denver Public Schools has approved bringing them back to campus. Now, those specifics are still being worked out, but the chief told the auditor's office DPD believes they can meet whatever DPS will request, and that having those officers back on campus would actually lower calls for service.
Because it kind of seems like a tall ask, Jenny. They have a staffing problem, and they're telling Denver Public Schools, yeah, we've got as many men or women as you want.
So right now, for this temporary time frame, they've had 14 DPD officers that have been working with the schools, and I think it sounds like from this conversation it's going to be a similar ask, but the chief said they can absorb that. That would not be a bad thing. He's in favor of it. So.
All right, Jennifer Meckles, thank you.
Club Q survivors demanded to get more of the money donated to them, and now they're getting it.
The roads have taken a beating this week. Arapahoe County alone says they need more than $300,000 to fix the damage.
Moms who work with psychedelics intentionally and safely are more freaking awake than ever.
A group of moms who uses magic mushrooms say they're not ashamed.